We are joined by the voice of the Tampa Bay Bucks and, of course, the Florida State Seminoles football and basketball right here on ESPN 690. It's Gene Deckerhoff getting ready to call a Super Bowl once again. Gene, thanks for being with us. You fired up for this week or what?
Yeah, hey, Brent, I'm always fired up for football, and particularly football in February. I mean, that's almost unheard of. The Buccaneers, the last time the Bucks played in a Super Bowl, the first time, the only time, we played in San Diego. We had 1 week between the NFC Championship game at Philadelphia and the kickoff of the Super Bowl in San Diego. So we didn't have much time to sit back and think about how big this was. And now this time, you got 2 full weeks to get ready to think about it, to get fired up and pumped up, and around some Seminole basketball games. I've been working on Super Bowl 55 and the Bucks versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Tom Brady versus Patrick Mahomes, the GOAT, and maybe the guy that may become the GOAT before it's all over. And plus the first Super Bowl to ever be played by a team in its own stadium, and that's an incredible story.
Unbelievable. Gene, you've had an illustrious career, and congratulations on that. But where does this rank for you? You got to call the other Super Bowl. Obviously had national championships. You've called a lot of different games all over the place. But this is pretty wild, right? I mean, when Tom Brady's involved, and Tom Brady's with the Bucks, and Patrick Mahomes might be, at the end of the day, one of the greats of all times we talk about for decades and decades. What an honor. What kind of honor is this for you to get to call the game?
Well, the only downside, I mean, I'm glad that the Bucks are playing at our home stadium in Tampa, Florida. The downside is I won't be on that team charter plane flying home and being able to kiss the Lombardi Trophy like I did flying home from San Diego. But then, this is a different season. We don't travel with the team. We broadcast every away game remotely, and I've been asked this question. Gene, if the Bucks were playing the Super Bowl, say, in Los Angeles, would you go to L.A. or would you broadcast remotely? And I cannot answer that question, but I would think that we would probably stay with what we've done all season long. 19 straight trips to Tampa, Florida. I live in Tallahassee, but 19 straight trips, home and away games, all from Raymond James Stadium this year. So it's been a strange season, an unreal season. It's been a non-normal season, but the Bucks are playing in the Super Bowl, and that's something to be excited about.
Gene, you talked about, obviously, with Tom Brady being the GOAT and Patrick Mahomes, who eventually could surpass him one day. I mean, that's a long ways away, obviously, but it's at the biggest stage. Do you realize, in your opinion, is this probably the biggest game featuring 2 quarterbacks that we may ever see? Because I have a hard time finding another game in a Super Bowl where you have the guy who's critically acclaimed as the best quarterback of all time taking on the guy who might surpass him.
Yeah, you'd have to look at every one of the 9 Super Bowls that Tom Brady has played in. He's won 6 of them. That's a good point, also. I'll have to do some more research and see if I can find another matchup of quarterbacks. I guess Eli Manning, I don't know if Eli would be the greatest of all time, but he was the quarterback, I believe, with the New York Giants when they beat New England. New England went in 16-0, and the Giants somehow, I guess, when you catch passes falling down on your back, something's with you, But I'll have to look that up. I do know this, that in 21 years, Tom has been to his 10th Super Bowl this year, so that's one every other year. And for Patrick to do it, he'd have to, play 21 seasons in the NFL. And so far, he's going to back-to-back Super Bowls, so he may have a little bit of a leg up. But, you're seeing – and plus what you're seeing and what we're all going to see, those watching on television, those at the stadium, you're going to see football played with a quarterback that drops back 5 or 7. Sometimes in the shotgun, but not a mobile quarterback, a quarterback that can run to the right, run to the left, get you a first down on 3rd down and 10 or 3rd down and 12. You're seeing a new generation of quarterback in the National Football League. And, the league has gone that way. I mean, I can remember the time you didn't want a guy that could scramble because the worry was he's going to get hurt. Fran Tarkington may have set the stage. I mean, when I was watching NFL football before I started broadcasting, Fran Tarkington, he'd run left, he'd run right. I mean, and he always seemed to get up, even though he took a big hit. But now, how long did Fran Tarkington last in the National Football League? I'd have to look that up too. I don't think he lasted 21 seasons. So you'll have to wait and see. Mahomes has got the credentials. I saw him pass for 453 yards against the Bucs this past year in November down at Raymond James Stadium. I mean, we couldn't stop the guy.
Well, and Gene, and I'm to follow up real quick, to answer the question of, is there any quarterback who played Brady in the Super Bowl who kind of had the hype around him a little bit? I guess the only guy that sticks out to me that played the Patriots could be Russell Wilson, but even then it was more of the running game of the Seattle Seahawks more than the passing game. But I feel like Wilson had some hype around him, but not as much as Patrick Mahomes, obviously.
No, Patrick Mahomes. Well, a couple of things. One, the Super Bowl MVP, very young. Mm-hmm. I think I saw a story the other day, or a picture of Patrick Mahomes was 6 years old when Tom Brady won his first Super Bowl, which sort of puts that in. It was Patrick, as a little boy, and here's Tom Brady as a quarterback of the National Football League winning his first Super Bowl with the New England Patriots. So it gives you a little bit of idea of the difference in ages. But this is a tremendous storyline. The GOAT versus the could be the GOAT. We'll see how that plays out. I do know this, that the Kansas City Chiefs in that game that I referenced, that was the last. It was the last Sunday in November, just before the bye week for the Buccaneers, and they scored 17 points, I think, before some of the fans had even gotten to their seats at Raymond James Stadium. The opening drive got a field goal, and the next two possessions, two of the next three possessions, it's Mahomes throwing a 75-yard bomb to Tyreek Hill, and then a 44-yard touchdown to Tyreek Hill. Hill had 203 yards of receiving yards before the first quarter ended. He finished with 269. So apparently what Todd Bowles of the Bucs defense did is they finally figured out a way to shut down Tyreek Hill. Maybe they'll start with that kind of defense in the Super Bowl. I don't know, but we cannot give Tyreek Hill 203 yards receiving in the first quarter and expect to win. But even then, fellas, it came down to, Tom Brady, we're just trying to get in field goal range, and he throws an interception. It was a desperation pass that he had to throw. But, again, if we complete that pass, we're kicking a field goal to tie the ball game. But it didn't happen that way.
Unbelievable. Gene Deckerhoff with us, voice of the Tampa Bay Bucs, Super Bowl 55 coming up on Sunday. By the way, you can watch the game on CBS 47 right here in Jacksonville. Gene, we all talk about these quarterbacks, and it makes sense. We should. But I love the Bucs linebackers in this game. I feel like that might be the critical component. Nobody seemingly can slow down this Kansas City Chiefs offense when it's going, but the Bucs are playing good defense. I think that's an underplayed storyline right now heading into this game.
Not only playing good defense, but the Buccaneers are forcing turnovers and takeaways, and something you have to do. The Bucs, since the beginning of the season, have scored more points off turnovers than any team in the National Football League. If you continue that through postseason, it's even a better story. But, yeah, you mentioned the linebackers. That number 45 looks an awful lot like a guy that wore number 55 that Florida State fans remember. He wore number 10 at FSU, but I'm talking about Hall of Famer Derrick Brooks. And the interception he made in the divisional game against New Orleans, boy, it just looked exactly like Derrick, picking off a pass intended for a running back and then returning it to set up points at the end. And he is playing at a Derrick Brooks level. And he's only in his second year. That's Devin White. And then the Rodney Dangerfield, some of your listeners might not remember who Rodney Dangerfield was, but I do. He was a comedian. I don't get no respect guy. And Levante David, he's been in the league 9 years. He's led us in tackling every one of those years, and he's never been to a Pro Bowl. I mean, well, he had an alternate, but he's never been voted to the Pro Bowl. He may be he's the Rodney Dangerfield of the National Football League linebackers. He should be in the Pro Bowl every year. He's that good of a talent. He's third all time in tackles behind two guys. One's in the Hall of Fame, one should be, and that's Derrick Brooks, all-time leading tackler, and Ronde Barber, who is second. Now, Levante's got a couple of more years before he'll catch Ronde. I don't know if he'll make it to catch Derrick, but he's in that neighborhood. So yeah, the linebackers are very good. Devin White is as good as the Bucs have had since Derrick Brooks, in my opinion. And the Bucs defense is playing at a level we haven't played at since we won Super Bowl 37. I'll say that.
Wow, that's pretty good. Gene Deckerhoff with us, of course, the voice of the Seminoles as well. Gene, you joined us when we announced that ESPN 690 is the Jacksonville station for the Florida State Seminoles, football and basketball. And I got to ask you at least a hoop question. Playing pretty well, 10-3, 9-1 at home. Got a game coming up tomorrow against Boston College. That one in Massachusetts for the Noles. How good is the basketball team there in Tallahassee?
Well, it's very good, and let's knock on wood. There will be a game tomorrow night for fans that are going to tune in for the 9 o'clock, the schedule for a 9 o'clock tip. I just got a text from my son, who keeps up with all the sports stuff that's going on, more so than I do. And he just sent a text and said the Boston College looks like they're only going to have 4 scholarship players available because of COVID tomorrow night. Now, the league hasn't made an announcement. I'm hoping that the Noles could play. They're up there already. And after stubbing our toe at Georgia Tech, it just did not play well. Defensively, Georgia Tech outplayed the Noles, and that's one of the few times. And it's the only time in 13 games the Noles have lost, been losing at halftime, have trailed at halftime. We had led 12 consecutive games going into that game at Tech. But forget about that. When those things are going to happen, and you just want to be ready to win every game come tournament time. And knock on wood, hopefully there was a tournament time. Last year's team was a Final Four team, but we did not get to even play in the ACC tournament, let alone the Final Four. Speaking of Florida State, fellas, back in 1995, 96, 97, 98, if our Seminole fans had been able to listen to 690, they would have heard the names of Derek Brooks, Greg Spires, Dexter Jackson, and I'm leaving out one right here. Brad the Bull Johnson. Those Seminoles were all starters in Super Bowl 37. And a Jacksonville Jaguar fan once asked me, he says, Mr. Deckerhoff, how in the world are my Jaguars ever going to make it to a Super Bowl? And without hesitation, I said, well, the Bucs did it with 4 Seminoles as starters on the team. I said, you had 2 at that time. I think you had Rashad Green and maybe Telvin Smith, I think, when we had this discussion. I said, get 2 more Seminoles over there with the Jaguars. You'll go to the Super Bowl. Well,
it is.
I don't know how many Seminoles you got with the Jags now, but 4 seem to be the number. Golly, I look at the Bucs roster. The Bucs, we have 1 Seminole on the roster. He's on the practice squad, and let alone, and there's no Florida State Seminoles starters or on the roster. There are no Florida Gators on the roster, and there are no Miami Hurricanes on the roster of the Tampa Bay Bucs. How in the world can you go to the Super Bowl? Well, by golly, we're there.
Yeah, you are there, no doubt about it. Go ahead, Austin.
Yeah, Gene, real quick, man. Obviously, I mean, you follow this team like no other, talking about the Bucs right now, and you heard the rumors with Bruce Arians. He went on a radio show saying he's going to come back for another year. Brady seems to be pointing out he wants to play for years to come. I feel like with this team, though, like a lot of pieces came together at the right time and the stars aligned. I mean, you have Gronk, right? I mean, he's on a 1-year deal. Antonio Brown is on a 1-year deal, and Ndamukong Suh is on a 1-year deal. Do you get the feeling that if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win this Super Bowl, do they all walk away? Like, do you see Brady being done, or do you think he's going to play for another 4 or 5 years still?
He looks like he's about 29 every time I look at him on the Zoom press conferences that I watch from my office in Tallahassee. I don't think I don't think this will be it, but you never know. When on March the 20th, the Bucs signed Tom Brady, the entire Bucs nation. Boy, we're going to be the Miami Dolphins of '72. We're going to win every ball game, going to win the Super Bowl. It's in the bag. And then we go to New Orleans and lose to the Saints on opening day, September 13th. And all of a sudden, let's reevaluate the Super Bowl thing. We were 7-5 after that loss to Kansas City. 7-5. That's on the bubble of making the playoffs, let alone getting a high seed. You knew you weren't going to win the division because you lost twice to New Orleans. And so after the bye week came probably at the best time. I don't know what it is. I never played. I played basketball. I never played football, let alone NFL football. Austin, you did. Now, the bye week comes. I don't know if you had a chance to get away from football, which is a grind.
Yeah.
And the NFL is a grind. I mean, it's 7 days a week. It's 24/7. It's a grind. And so you get away for a couple of days. Maybe your legs get a little fresher. But the Bucs have not lost since that bye week. Came back and beat Minnesota. Had to come from behind by 17 in Atlanta. Maybe that was the game that said, hey, we can win every football game we play if we play like we did in the second half of the Falcons game. And so it was the bye week and then the comeback win in Atlanta. The Bucs are playing the most confident football I have ever seen. The Bucs are going into this game like, we're going to win this game. There ain't no doubt about it. We're going to win this football game. And if you have that attitude and the ball bounces your way, you might have that big old piece of hardware in the lobby of your one Buccaneer place down. They have 2 of them now. 2 Lombardi trophies.
Yeah, that'd be quite the thing.
And to go on with Gene's point a little bit, and he makes up a great point. After the bye week, right? I feel like there's 3 different roads that you can travel when you have the bye week. There's the first road where it's like, okay, well, we're obviously not a good team this year. I'm going to Vegas. I'm going to party it up. I don't care about taking care of myself for the bye week. Now, obviously, with COVID-19 and the protocols, it's a little different. There's another one that says, okay, we're doing very well right now. We got to keep doing what we're doing, so I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to walk away a little bit, but my mind's going to be all in on football still. And then there's the other one, and I feel like this is where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers kind of proceeded after the bye week. There's the term of underachieving, where I feel like they weren't all on the same page before that bye week. They probably lost a couple games that they should have won. And after that bye week, they took it upon themselves to say, you know what? We're underachieving right now. We have to get our heads in the game, and we have the roster to do it. Now we just got to play better. And that's what I feel like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have done after that bye week.
And I have a strong suspicion, Austin, that signing back on March the 20th had a lot to do with the attitude and the mental attitude and the confidence attitude that the Buccaneers have come back with after that bye week. Tom Brady is a leader. That may be his strongest suit. I know he can throw every pass in the book. I know he studies film. He knows the game of football, obviously. But I think it's his attitude. His attitude that he can beat another team in the game of football, despite the fact that it's not a one-man game. It's not basketball where one guy can dominate. It's a 22-man team, and he's got the defense buying in, the offense buying in, and you got to go back to March 20th. What a tremendous hire by the Buccaneers to bring Tom Brady down to sunny Tampa, Florida, and what do you think New England fans are thinking right now? My goodness, how did we let that guy get away? You know, we're up here freezing in the northeastern with 18 inches of snow. Tom Brady's going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's a little bit different up in New England. Gene Deckerhoff, the legendary voice of the Florida State Seminoles, Tampa Bay Bucks. Enjoy Super Bowl 55, Gene. I know you're busy. Thanks for taking time for us.
Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Fire it. Well, we can't fire the cannons, fellas, so it'll be a little quiet in the stadium. Talk to you later, man.
All right, you got it.